Hello and welcome to the World-Struction podcast. I am your host, Alex.
And I am your co-host.
Well, that's right. And today is a follow-up of our previous map building episode where we were building the map of Icebomia.
Yay, more map building, yay!
That's right. So this episode, instead of focusing on like rivers and mountains and stuff like that, we're focusing on cities and countries and stuff like that and just trying to get an idea of where we're placing that. Now, that's not to say that we won't be placing any landmarks or mountains or whatever. It's just, anything that we do place down is going to be in relation to these guys.
Right, we're going to be trying to essentially do the political side of it and making conflict between the countries using geography and whatever we can. And, trying to think, well, I think a city should go here because of blah, 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 blah.
Right. So far, the only city that we've placed is this one.
Yes,
right,
the drowned city.
The drowned city. The city wiped away by the fissure.
What do you think that country, because I think we'll have a country up there, right?
Correct.
Or there was one.
We talked about
now is
it's being split into two.
Yeah, so there was a country there. What was that country like? Let's do the past on that country before the river.
Before, in the before times, was it all one unified country?
I think it would be cool just because now it would definitely be split in two. It would not be easy to keep a country together that has such a massive geographical divide, especially with the kind of technology that we have pre-established is in this world, which is medieval, maybe a little bit more than that.
Right. So essentially, what this country was dealing with is that they were trading left to right, back and forth, because that would be the easiest. But now with this crack, they now have to go out and around.
Yeah, actually, so I think one section of this is farmland, and the other maybe put like a mountain range. Essentially, it was one unified country at one point, but now it's two separate countries that have to find some way to trade with each other or trade with other people. One country produces rare ores, rare minerals. The other country is just food.
So I guess let's talk about where this mountain range is going. You talked about a mountain range. Where are we putting it?
Well, we have two different options. We can put it on that little offshoot to the far left,
Here?
that little lake of land there. Or it would probably make more sense if it was like in the heartland of that left
Here.
country. Oh, actually, no. If one of these are going to be farmland, you want the bigger half to be the farmland because that makes the most sense. So yeah, do the mountain range in like the right section.
Okay. So this is farmland. We'll have we'll have the mountains.
Oh, you know what would be great?
What?
If you put them, and this just another geographical divide. You put it where the forest and the marsh is, like 2 tiles over. There's just another gigantic mountain range.
What, something like this?
Yeah, because that, again, makes it even harder for them to get in touch with each other.
Yeah, because now they have to come out and sail like this great journey just to get over here.
And actually, what you could do is just turn this entire right landscape into mountains, hills, make a mountain range where it's the tallest, but then there would also be like hills surrounding it. And there really is no area for them to grow food.
I just noticed like this mountain range has kind of been split by this fissure. Like mountains fell into this crack.
Hey, sometimes that happens.
Sometimes that happens.
And then after that, everywhere where you have that green terrain, I'd change it to hills. At the very least, all of this is hills.
Wait, hold on. Well, didn't we talk about the rain shadow effect last episode?
Yeah.
Wouldn't this then be a very dry area, since this is clearly very moist?
Yes, you could say that. The problem is, do you see where our ocean is at the bottom? You could make the case that the storms blow north. I don't know what the climate is for this. We can say whatever we want.
Okay.
But if you want to say that they flow south, yeah, I guess it would be kind of like a rain shadow effect.
I just noticed that we have this mountain range and it just kind of loosely connects with this mountain range here. Should we like
continue it further there?
Yeah, and like put some mountains here?
You could, yeah. And what are you placing right there? Hills or are those just mountain range?
This is a mountain range. And I'm very careful. I
Okay.
don't like to put mountain ranges right by the water because you never really see mountains right up against the ocean. The closest that we get is here and here, which is
Yeah.
still really close.
Yeah, there's probably some geographical rule we're breaking.
Yeah, but
We're not geography majors, so
you
that
can't follow every rule and nobody cares.
that's not true. Some people do care.
Some people do care. I don't care.
Yeah, I would just completely either do massive hills or you could make it dry on the right. So maybe like a savanna.
What if it was just kind of like dry here? Because if the wind blows north, wouldn't this typically be drier?
Yeah, yeah, they would disperse before they hit the mountain.
Well, I think especially like this area would be kind of dry.
Well, I think it's also true that eventually the clouds will reconstitute, gain more moisture. So at a certain distance, but it's all based on climate too. The rain shadow effect isn't the be all end all. So
Very
putting
well.
Badlands there is a good idea.
Okay. Then I'm
Where,
putting.
where were you like, he's about to tell me this is idiotic?
Well, that's usually on how you talk to me. So,
That's true.
all
But
right.
no, you can stretch it out and make that bigger. I was just telling you that
Well, like this kind of bowl.
climate. Yeah, yeah, fill in that whole thing. Get rid of all that green.
Okay,
The green is just a placeholder.
that's right. We're filling it in. So these badlands would have always been here.
Yes. Yeah.
We started off by placing cities, so we need to place some cities. All right, so we found some features, some buildings or whatever. So
Only took us 2 hours.
it did take us 2 hours. We had to pause and restart the episode. Levi started yelling at me. It was terrible.
Mhm.
Okay, so we got this guy. Whoa. Well, where's a good place for a city?
Well, you have the drowned city is technically a ruins, so
Right.
I wouldn't place that over there.
No.
Whoever lives in the Badlands is probably nomadic, so they probably wouldn't have a city or a defined city.
Okay.
Um,
But let's talk about before the crack.
well, those would be ruins, wouldn't there? I don't know how many. Well, no, yeah, because
Bef-
you did say it would only be like 5 or 10 years. So yeah, some of those cities would probably exist.
Correct.
Um,
So before they would just be in poverty probably because their major trade route fell apart.
yeah. So maybe put one near the crack, just because that would be interesting. And maybe there used to be mountains there, so it's like a
They
city
were
of.
right here. They're
No, no.
encircled on both sides from the crack. They're like, how did we survive?
Yeah, there used to be just like a giant mountain range surrounding them, full of like a bunch of rare minerals that they
And
used to be like rich
now it's just an
before this.
abyss. And they can't get to
Yeah,
their trade route. And there's just like minerals and all that, mines and stuff like that.
not even that. It's like their ancient homeland just got destroyed.
It's kind of like a
Like,
maiden abyss where they do occasional dives down into the chasms to try to retrieve some stuff.
actually, that's not a bad idea. I think it's only been 5 or 10 years, but I think they would be adapting like that, where
Right.
they would be essentially like, I don't, we'd come up with a cool name for it, but I guess it would be like abyss dwellers or something like that,
Right.
where they would start scavenging through those ruins for a bunch of their old stuff.
While they're down there, sometimes they find some stuff that's not even theirs, and they're like, "What is this? How does this here?"
I mean, even when that used to be theirs, I assume that, I mean, huge mountain ranges, been there forever. There might have been hidden stuff in there since millennia past. Empires rise and fall and make new stuff and shit like this used to probably this might not be the first time something like this has happened, you know.
Where there's been a
So,
giant crack in the earth.
yeah, yeah. Whenever magic is involved, you just have to assume.
Just assume it's whatever.
Yeah, this is commonplace.
Yeah. All right. So we have this city that's on this land peninsula on the edge of the chasm.
And it depends on how many years you want to set this. But I think eventually this city would just be 100% based on going into that abyss, recovering lost stuff, trying to find ways to the minerals that drop to the bottom, trying to find out what is at the bottom. How deep does it go?
Right.
You know,
The
and essentially,
chasm.
yeah. So, but right now they're in kind of just
Let's say
survival.
I like the idea of 20 years because that gives the enough time for people to really adapt.
Yeah, that gives time for people to
Any
adapt.
any
That gives
kids
time.
any kids that were around before the crack happened are now adults.
Yes, there's a generation that is growing up not knowing what life was like before this.
Right. So
That's the
25,
perfect.
20 to 25, maybe 30.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that 2 to 3 decade range. That's when you start getting people who are now growing up into this world.
And I don't know if we touched on this yet, but are we going to have different fantasy races and stuff like that in this world? Were you thinking? Because if so,
I think
these
if
would
it
be dwarves.
I think if it comes up organically, let's just do it.
Like these were definitely dwarves. I can't imagine them being anything else. Maybe gnomes,
I mean, do
but
you want to just use the basic races or whatever, or I always like to create my own.
I mean, what would be a you? Well, yeah, we can work this later. Kind
Yeah,
of.
we'll work on this
I,
later. Maybe another episode. Maybe we do an episode based off of this. I don't know. We'll talk about it.
yeah, for right now, it doesn't matter. I was picturing that this would definitely be a bunch of dwarves that were like, rich mining dwarves, and now they're just like, what do we do now? The thing we've done for generations, the only thing we've ever done is mine, and
Right,
that's gone.
right. How does this kingdom get food?
Well, I assume that they traded their rare minerals and stuff like that with the other people for food,
So that means that there needs
or
to be a trade route.
they would also probably have a city on the coast, and that city would exist for the sole purpose of being like a fishing city.
In either case, that means that they need a trade route. So they can
Yes.
either trek this really, really long path here, or this really short but treacherous path here.
Hold on a second. Just for me understanding, it was this the capital of this
Didn't we?
country?
We said that
Well,
the drowned city was the capital.
okay. Was this another very important point of interest?
I imagine this was like the financial center.
Like the head of the mining options.
Yeah, this is where they got all the
Probably this is where the mint was.
Mhm.
They'd have the mint in the same city because they'd mine the gold or whatever they used. And then they would mint it here and then disperse it through the kingdom, send it to the capital.
Now, would it be strange for the mint to be outside of the capital?
No, for convenience sake, it makes a lot of sense to have the mint right there. I assume what they would do is they would either disperse it through there or they would send it to the capital to get dispersed. The capital existed because that was the main trade route to the other countries,
Okay. Well,
right?
because I'm thinking, I mean, who knows on what's on this other side or this continent here? But if this was the capital, before the chasm, they would have had to go around and then back up
No, they
because
could
this would be a
travel right
mountain
through the
range.
mountain range.
Oh yeah, I guess they could have gone through the mountain range. Yes.
They would know how to go through it. The
Oh,
mountain range is only a problem for people who don't live and breathe in the mountains.
okay. So then this trade route would have been completely possible.
Or, maybe that is one of the secrets of this world is how did they always get the stuff from that city to that city? And that's something that the other countries always wondered about. And really all it is there's a giant underground, or there was a giant underground cavern that they dug
Do you,
from that to there.
do you think like if they were to go down into this chasm, they could like sometimes hook into the caverns?
Oh yeah. Yeah, because I think we were talking about earlier how there probably was a huge cavern system there. I don't know if we got rid of that if we went with that, but we could still have it.
No, I like it, dude. This area sounds rad.
Let's forget that ice place. We'll just work with this.
Yeah, this is the gravy area, man. What even is here? Some sort of ice tundra or whatever? Who cares? Let me talk about the river area.
Yeah, sometimes that happens when you're map making. But yeah, I think maybe we should think about where we would put a coastal city because right now I don't know if this is a new city that recently developed or if it's an older city that's just kind of always been around, but they definitely still need something that's feeding those guys just enough for survival, and that would be a coastal city. right? That like, does the fish and can do some of the trading.
I don't think that's the coastal cities their number one source of food because they are a very long trek away from the coast.
Gosh, you are right. Like, how are they surviving?
I think they have to base it off of farmland now.
But this is all hills.
I guess that's
This is
true.
all hills, mountains,
So then it would be mainly like goats and yaks
hunting,
and stuff like that. I
yeah,
imagine this city is dealing with starvation.
and poverty. Yeah.
They have to rely on farmland, but there isn't that much. You can't plant that much in hills.
Actually, I think I know. So after the 20, 30 years it's been,
Mm-hmm.
maybe they found some way to the river and their food source is completely dependent on that river.
What, by crossing
I,
the chasm?
like they have found a way to cross the chasm.
What if there was like a gondola?
Oh yeah, that
Just
just goes across the Badlands.
just one giant gondola that goes from this side of the chasm to this side of the chasm, and that gondola that's a 2-day ride in that gondola.
Oh, you were just saying across the cat. Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, they erected a gondola to try and get to the river, or to the very least to get to the Badlands because they could trade with the people in the Badlands.
Could you imagine the
Um,
construction of that? That would be such a massive undertaking.
well, it's probably not the safest thing.
No,
You picture this highly mechanized gondola. More than likely, it's more of like a, I don't even know,
like
like
some
it would
sort of
be.
weird giant pulley system where they're just like.
Yeah,
I don't think that they really carry people on it.
mostly just heavy goods.
Yeah, mostly just heavy goods because it's not that safe.
I mean, occasionally they'd have to send people across
What if
though.
like the wire like snaps or whatever? Then they would have to go
Oh,
and reline it.
you'd be falling forever too if you were on it when it snapped.
I kind of like the idea of the gondola.
All right.
I think semantically it doesn't really work because what if it snaps?
No, don't worry about semantics and all that bullshit. You can come up with any mystical reason for why the gondola works. It's not normal rope. They use some of the minerals that they used to use.
Maybe it's like the Titanic of this civilization is like, no, the gondola will never snap. Obviously, it will never
Right.
snap.
Or you could just say that one of the rare minerals they used to mine was this type of metal that was as strong as or like as strong as iron, but was malleable,
Right.
like a rope.
Uh,
That'd be that'd be super valuable.
and so because
Um,
we're having this gondola stretch across the chasm, I put a town here.
yeah, there'd be some sort of town in the Badlands, and that would create conflict with whatever people used to live there.
Right.
I assume.
So now we have one way that they get food. They transport it. Well, not even really that because you can't farm in the Badlands. So they have to make the
No.
multi-day trek from the river back here and then ferry it across. I think their best shot is just to farm out in the mountains.
Yeah.
And maybe they do trade across here. Maybe.
I wonder if this city even exists.
I don't think it can.
I don't think it can. And that's fine. I mean, we may just have to,
I say we get rid of the
uh,
Badlands.
you know what we could do?
What?
You make that river a little snakier. Get rid of the Badlands and make that river a little snakier. Oh, also, rivers are supposed to flow off of these mountains too. We haven't made any of those. And they're just natural occurring rivers.
Okay, so
You know.
what? We have some rivers on this side.
Yeah, you could have some rivers on that side. And you could maybe just turn that Badlands into standard farmland that's smaller. And it wouldn't have been enough to sustain the whole civilization, but it is enough to sustain what's maybe left, or that town at least, that city.
All right. I think we settled on getting rid of the Badlands because they're causing too much of a problem for the
Well, we
semantics of
can
the
move
city.
them.
Yeah, we can move them. Not
Move them
necessarily
down south.
like erase them. But see, this is a
Yeah.
good example of, hey, this was causing us a problem, so let's change it. We're not married to this map, so let's change it.
Yeah, and there's like multiple different things. One thing I was thinking of was we could just have turned that city into a ruin, like the drowned city, turned that one into a ruin also. But then I was like, that doesn't really work because we need to start placing cities somewhere. There has to be somewhere these people live.
That's right.
And this is so cool, having a gondola across the city. They're living in like the desolation of their empire.
Obviously, we like the gondola, so let's make the gondola work.
And I think that looks perfect.
Yeah, so we moved
Maybe
it.
extend those badlands to the marshes.
Sounds good. Like right up against the marshes. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah.
Because badlands are really dry, and then we just go straight into marshes.
Those marshes are magical, dummy.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. So they gondola across and then make trade via this snaking river?
No, that river is way too inconsistent to try and trade on.
So then I guess they have to hunt from the neighboring forests.
Yeah.
So let's make the forest a bit bigger, just so they have a nice, clear access to it. So then I think we should put it like another village right around here. Here.
Yeah.
So they get the food from the forest, or are they farming?
They can do both.
I guess they do both. So I guess then we don't really need a village here.
I mean, they're essentially, I think we've mentioned this before, there would be all kinds of cities and towns that are just too small to place on the map.
Of course.
So you could say that there's all kinds of villages throughout that farmland that we have there and in that forest.
Essentially, if you need a village, there's a village.
Yeah. Or what you could do is make the Badlands remove their access to the forest. Now there's conflict because they have to go through the Badlands to get to the forest. Maybe the people in the Badlands don't might like it when people go through their territory. And they're not the tradable bunch. Maybe they're either trying to put a gondola there across.
Right.
Because that worked so well, the first idea, and there has been no major catastrophe.
Of course, this is the Titanic of gondolas. It's perfect. It'll never fail us.
And then, like, whenever this starts, whatever it is, whether this, whatever you're going to use this world for, if it's going to be for D&D, then you would have that gondola snap almost immediately when the players arrive to the city.
That's right.
Or if you were writing a book, that would be like immediately as they arrive to the city.
Or maybe if they're trying to like sabotage something, they cut the line. Or or some stuff.
Maybe that's the Badlands people, that they're tired of these guys coming across in their territory and they know they only have one across now.
Or what if somebody's like trapped in the chasm, so they cut the gondola so they can climb out?
Oh my god, that would be so selfish.
That would be. All right, cool. So this area has food because they ferry across the gondola and farm in this land, and maybe they have access to the forest. Now, so we're using this to signify big city, big development, and this to signify smaller city. And then small villages or whatever towns or farms we're not bothering to mark.
Yeah, I assume that bigger one you have there would essentially be now the new capital.
This.
Yeah.
I thought we talked about them being starving.
That doesn't mean they're not a capital city. This is the best city they have.
That is the best city. All right, I think we got a lot of good work done in this area here. But, you know, we haven't talked about this giant gaping ice land area that started this whole world.
Yeah, it's weird that we immediately went off on a tangent into the top right away from where we were supposed to go.
Yeah, to this cool river area. I love this area. This area is my favorite right now. Of course, it's the only one that we've created.
You know, if you wanted to get really crazy, you know what you could do?
What?
You could extend that river.
Even bigger?
Through the ocean.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, we have to move on. It's all right that we didn't talk about it today, because we'll be able to talk about it more in our next new mini-episode series, where we take all of the stuff that didn't fit inside the podcast and put it into little tiny bite-sized bits just for you. So, if
also, well, I was going to ask you, what is some other media that you've been watching or playing?
Oh, let's see here. I'm playing WoW with the guys from high school. We're playing World of Warcraft.
All right, we can end this forever now. We don't have to do any more of these.
Yeah. We hit the bottom of the barrel. No, but
Yeah.
no, I mean, I'm just doing a free account right now. And it's pretty all right. I mainly just like hanging out with the guys and playing with them on that. But
Yeah.
the grind by itself, it's only okay. But playing like the battlefield area where we just kind of fight PvP, that was really fun.
Yeah, did you get destroyed over and over again?
Dude, I was playing a warlock and I had an army of imps and we just like machine gun people. They were just like plop 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 plop. They only did like a handful of damage apiece, but it still was cool.
I still have fun.
I still had fun, okay?
All right.
All right.
Well,
Another place that you can check out world building or just writing in general is one of my favorite channels to watch is this guy called Runesmith on YouTube. He does a great channel. He just did an episode like how to write a campaign, and he just covered about all of his tips of the trade and stuff like that. And I thought that was really enjoyable. If you're interested in that kind of thing, check him out. Congratulations. We did some world building. We did some map construction. We placed some guys.
yeah.
I really enjoyed placing this and then just talking about like the different cities. And so if you want to see us talk more about this map, let us know. Contact us at the stuff that we plug to you at Alex's Orange Soda or at what is it? A Twitter? Is it a Twitter?
Yes, it will be a Twitter. It will use the same thing as the name as the podcast.
That's right. It'll be the World-Struction Twitter. And yeah, so once that gets set up, you can contact us there and just let us know what is good.
Give us some feedback. We'd like to hear what you guys think about this.
That's it. That's pretty much it. This has been the World-Struction Podcast. Thank you for listening to us. See ya.